Welcome to Beers and Buckets, the podcast for degenerates like us who like to drink beer and watch college basketball. I'm your host, Connor Caldwell. I'm joined by Dowell Harmon. Dowell, how you doing tonight?
Good. Other than we're recording at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go have to get my dad and stepmom, who were supposed to fly in from Miami at like 4, and now they are going to get in at like 1:20 in the morning.
Fun.
And after having been forced to dog sit for the last 9 days while they went to Key West for Thanksgiving and I got stuck at home, I now have to go get them at 1:30 in the morning from the airport and drive them back. So I'm thrilled.
Well, hopefully they brought you some souvenir, a key lime pie or something, because that sucks, and you sound a little bitter about it. So
if they had a key lime pie in the car for me, everything would be forgiven. I doubt they do, but that would be elite.
Well, by the way, we are part of the Basketball Podcast Network, where you can get the latest on your favorite teams, what's happening around the NBA and NCAA. So make sure you go check them out on Twitter, follow more shows like this one. Let's recap last week. Crazy week, man. Feast week was super fun. And, you know, like I said in last week's episode, we can only cover a certain amount of games because it's a lot of like invitational, which is like tournament based style. So we didn't get to preview all the matchups, but the ones that we did do were pretty fun. And man, like there were so many matchups that just went crazy, like a quadruple overtime game with Alabama and UNC. Did you watch any of that? I mean, you had like 4 hours of opportunity to watch some of it, I'm sure.
So no, I didn't. Not live, at least. I was watching. What movie was I watching? I was watching some movie. I was watching Snowpiercer. That's what it was, which is a great movie. Bong Joon-ho, great. Chris Evans, great. Tilda Swinton, great. Anyways, I was watching it, went to check Twitter, and realized that I was getting like tweets from 10 minutes ago about how they were going into fourth overtime. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to watch that.
Yeah.
I caught up on it.
That was crazy. That was crazy. But like, man, I'm glad they don't just end it in a tie. I'm glad college basketball doesn't just end in a tie, because that's just the stupidest thing ever when games end in a tie.
What would hockey has like a penalty shootout, soccer has penalty shootout. What would basketball's version of that be? Like, you just play one-on-one?
No, it would be free throw shooting, and you would start with your guards all the way to your centers, and whoever misses first wins. Like the other team wins. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
That would be really fun. We need to
make the centers shoot like 3-point shots, and whoever makes like the first to 5 wins.
Or, you remember in the All-Star game, like a couple years back, the NBA All-Star game, they would have like the men's player, the women's player, and the legend, and they would do a thing where they had to make like a free throw, a layup, a free throw, a 3-point shot, and a half-court shot. They do that.
Yeah, do that. Yeah.
This seems fun. In actual news, though, basketball just needs an Elam ending. Like, these four overtime games are super fun, so I'm down with keeping them. But the Elam ending is wonderful and should be instituted. We'll add it to the multitude of changes that we would make if we were college basketball commissioners. It can be way down on the list because there's a lot of shit we would change.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But it's still fun. 4 overtime game was fun, other than the fact that like Armando Bacot like missed like 3 overtimes, but it is what it is.
Good, he deserves it.
Like Purdue also had a crazy week, went on a tear in the Phil Knight Invitational, ended up winning that. Insane. Like UConn had a great week. A lot of teams that we weren't really talking about the last couple of weeks kind of just emerged out of nowhere. So good week for college basketball for sure. Another good thing that happened for Wake Forest this week. What did you tell me about that?
So there's this man named Tim Duncan that played for Wake Forest. He was pretty good. And Alondas Williams last year, also good, better than Malik Monk. Shout out to Zach and Scott. That's a deep cut. But those two players for Wake Forest, the only 2 players in history with a triple-double until Cam Hildreth came out and had, like, I think 14, 7, and 9 in the first half against Howard. And then they proceeded to run a couple. He ended up getting the rebounds, and they ended up cementing his triple-double, so the third triple-double in Wake Forest history, with a pretty sweet out-of-bounds play that they ran for him so that they could get him out of the game after. But he's someone that I liked a lot. He's also why my hashtag is British Luca Hive, because he's like one of those dudes that isn't super athletic, but can get really anywhere he wants on the floor because he plays weird and is strong. And they've really started to kind of unlock his passing whenever he can get a paint touch by himself, which is really fun. So I was excited to watch that. I rewatched the game, which I like very rarely do, especially a game like against Howard where it's like that. It was a blowout from the start.
Yeah.
But rewatch just to be able to kind of figure out more of how he got to that triple-double, which was really fun.
Yeah. Some other news in the college basketball world is they announced that the ACC Big Ten Challenge is ending after what, like they said, like 23 years? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Really? 23 years, and then they're ending after this year the SEC Big 12 Challenge that happens late in like January, typically after a 10-year run. I believe that's how long it's been. So really exciting that they also announced the ACC SEC Challenge, and that's going to be insane. I really, really hope next year that Kentucky takes on Duke because if I'm not mistaken, I think Kentucky does not play Duke in the Champions Classic next year. Can we confirm that?
I believe that is the case.
Like they play Kansas, right? Because they played Michigan State this year, so they have Kansas next year and then Duke the following year. So, yeah, that'll be super fun. Also, potential Kentucky, probably not, but maybe some Kentucky Wake matchups that would be fun for you, but probably not.
I doubt that happens, and that would be interesting because that hasn't happened since I became a Wake fan, and I don't know how my heart would feel about that.
Correct. But all around, just some good opportunities there for some good games, and I'm excited for that. And then, like the Champions Classic, like we talked about, like people need to stop hating on that because it's actually, really fun, especially early on in the season. Some of the bigger matchups, and they typically just have some all around good matchups in that classic anyway. So keep that.
I feel like Kentucky fans especially hate on it, but I think that they hate on it kind of as a way to like disregard or kind of like be mad that Cal doesn't schedule good home and home like non-conference games, and so like they don't really have a problem with the Champions Classic. They have a problem with that, and they just like project that onto the Champions Classic. So,
that's correct. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the week one review, or not week one. Last week recap is. So let's go with I told you so. Games that we seemed irrationally confident about. What do you want? What are you thinking now? What were you irrationally confident in last week?
Mine's a little bit of a deep cut, but it is the game that put me over the top in terms of our last week predictions. And that's Santa Clara over Iona. I talked about how Pod was going to have a big game and that there's no way I'm betting on the 15-second man. And Podzimski had 27 and 9 and led the Santa Clara, whatever their mascot is. Broncos. I was going to say Gales. That's something else.
That's Iona.
Oh, duh. Well, whatever. They won. The Broncos won.
Broncos won. Yep. Yeah. I was irrationally confident in Iowa State's ability to beat Villanova last week, and more so in the fact that Villanova is just struggling, and it's kind of showing now. And I'm going to talk about them in a little bit later. But oh man, Iowa State actually had a decent week last week overall for a team that you thought was going to struggle. So other than last night when they played UConn, but UConn's a very hot team right now, so I don't blame them for that. But yeah, Iowa State called that one. They won it by 2 in overtime, so a little nervous there, but at the same time, I just knew they had it in the bag. So, all right, let's move on to Humble Pie, teams that we were definitely too low on. And this week, I was too low. Well, this season, I've been too low on Purdue. And we talked about them in the offseason. We talked about them in the Big Ten preview. And we were just – overall, we just thought that a lot of their best players left. and Zach Edey just doesn't get starter minutes. Turns out they're really good. Zach Edey's pretty good and getting actually better minutes, and they beat Gonzaga by a lot. They beat a lot of teams by a lot.
74.6%, Connor. That's how many minutes Zach Edey is getting. He's like far and away the leader in Ken Palm's Player of the Year rankings, which is just it's an algorithm, so it just spits out stuff. But he has, according to their MVP thing that they have on Ken Palm 2 that just says the best player regardless of who wins in the game. He has been the MVP of every game. He has played at least 25 minutes in every game, which let me go back and look real quick. There's 1, 2, 3. He only played 25 or more minutes in 3 games last year, and 27 was his season high. And he has played in 27 or more minutes per game in the last 5 games, which is baffling. It's almost like whenever you play someone that's really good, more minutes, it's better.
Yeah, and you're going to win more games. Yeah,
yeah, this is crazy, crazy concept.
Yeah, no, I was too low on them, but they're finally. I think they're turning things around, looking good overall. So hats off to you, Purdue, for being Purdue's. So
we owe Bradley. I think we owe Bradley a little bit of an apology for giving him so much shit when he drafted Edey in his fantasy team.
It was more so that he took Nigel Pack over Isaiah Wong, but
I didn't say we were giving him an apology for everything. just this specific.
Yep.
Team I'm too low on. See, and I have to take this one on the chin because you were not too low on them. You were super high on them. Mine is UConn. They have gone from, they were 27th to start the year. They're up to 6th in Ken Palm this year. They're 8-0. They have top 10 offense and defense. They didn't really play a ton of strong opponents for the first 5 games, but then now they've rattled off a 24-point beatdown of Oregon. They beat Alabama by 15, and they beat Iowa State by, let me math real quick.
18.
18? Yeah. 3 double-digit wins. 3 double-digit wins against 2 top 50 teams and a top 15 team. That's super, super impressive. Sonogo is 8th right now in that Ken Palm Player of the Year ranking. They've been really, really good. And
the thing about them is also, if you look at their upcoming schedule, it's not like it gets harder. Oklahoma State, Florida, Butler, Georgetown, Villanova, they have a pretty favorable schedule from here on out. I really don't see, unless there's some injuries, I can't really confidently pick a team against them right now, unless another team shows us that they can beat them. Xavier would be one that I could see them losing in Creighton. Those two.
Creighton,
those two.
St. John's, obviously. St. John's is second best team in the Big East.
So
I get the push narrative.
UConn, their strength of schedule is not great. It's 277th in the nation, so not great overall, but overall, I think, or 255th. Sorry, I saw the offense, but 255th overall, and so it's not going to be that's going to hurt them more than help them come tournament time. But it doesn't matter if you're winning, and they're ranked 6th, so that's going to be fine.
You have, other than Georgetown, who's 147th, you have the next lowest team is Butler and DePaul, who are in the 90s, but every other team is a top 75 team.
Yeah.
So that strength of schedule should get way better just because the Big East as a whole is pretty strong. They played Georgetown twice. Never mind. But other than LIU, who is 350th, so that's going to be a super easy win. Their schedule it's not super top loaded in that they're playing a bunch of top 10 teams, but they really don't have a bad opponent after they pass up LIU, and if you want to count Georgetown, kind of kick them while they're down. So they're going to be a really fun team to watch in the Big East.
Yeah, just definitely. Let's move on to I've got my eye on you. It's teams that are struggling to play to their expectations. Who do you got your eye on this week?
So I'm going to put a team a little bit on fraud watch. They're still good, so I don't want to put them like super on fraud watch. But the Kansas Jayhawks are currently 6-1. They have wins over Duke, who could also be put in this category of teams that you have to keep your eye on because their offense. Apparently, John's in coaching this year just have forgotten that you can do modern offensive schemes with John Shire. It's so funny watching Duke update.
John's in
Duke
Villanova.
update complain about their offense, and Matt Sack will be like, this is like, are you tweeting about Kentucky or are you tweeting about Duke? Because they're very similar issues. But no, so they have a win over Duke. They pulled one out against NC State, and then they beat Wisconsin in overtime. Then, all of their problems kind of came to a head. They only scored 50 points against Tennessee, which Tennessee has a very, very good defense. So, and it's the third game in 3 days for them. So, I mean, you can make the excuse there, but right now they're not getting to the free throw line at all. When they do get to the free throw line, they can't hit free throws. They aren't shooting many threes. They're 283rd in 3-point attempts for field goal attempt. They just have a lot of problems on their underlying metrics that I don't see getting much better. I don't know. Grady Dick has been really good.
Yeah, he has.
He's shooting 48% from three, and honestly should shoot more. Jalen Wilson has been really good. Kevin McCullough has been good, but MJ Rice, they just seem a little bit fraudulent for what the way they've been playing, and their record shows. They probably moved up in the rankings this week, but have gone from 8th to 18th since the beginning of the season in KenPom overall. Yeah. So their efficiency is just not great.
No, I think this is one of those teams that has a lot of talent, and it's just not. It won't come together while they're together at Kansas. Does that make sense? Yes. You won't see this talent be like Grady Dick is going to be a problem in the NBA because he's so good offensively, and in the NBA you could hide a little bit defensively, behind other players too. Colleges attack bad defenders. That's what Duke did, is they attacked Grady Dick on defense. Jalen Wilson's doing fine. He'll be fine in the NBA. I think he's better than I expected him to be this season. So I'm gonna give him some props there. Overall, I just think this team, I think it's going to be better when they get to the league. And we've seen Kentucky teams like this too, as Kentucky fans, where that team was probably better once they got to the NBA, but they weren't that good in college. They weren't that as good together in college as a team. So it's just interesting all around to see that. I've got my eye on Dayton. At one point, they were up to 22. They started the season 24 in KenPom. They got up to 22 and ranked 2 in the AP poll. And now they are at 55. They dropped 3 straight, albeit they dropped 3 straight to tournament teams outside of BYU. But they haven't won a single game against the top 100 opponent in KenPom. And then their final score against Wisconsin was 43-42 as a final score, which is absolutely disgusting. And also the same final score as Auburn and Northwestern, which was the same day, which is also disgusting. So if I have to keep my eye on another team, it's going to be Auburn. But right for this week, it's Dayton because they haven't beaten the top 100 team yet. And that's pretty sad for a team that, we had kind of bigger expectations for in the A-10 altogether. So just watch out, Flyers. You guys are on thin ice, baby.
It sucks too because Deron Holmes has been everything he has been as advertised. The rest of their team just isn't good enough.
Correct. Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to what happened. Teams that got upset according to KenPom, and we're going within the top 50 teams. So not as many upsets as last week, but let's start. I'll start, and then you can take the next one, and we'll just trade off back and forth. So St. Mary's, number 22 in KenPom. Lost to number 116, Washington, 68-64 in OT, thanks to one Keon Brooks.
Yes, sir.
St. Mary's Gales, what happened?
That's who I was thinking of. That's the Gales.
Yeah, they're also the Gales.
Yeah, Keon Brooks happened. Duh.
Yeah.
That's the only reasonable explanation. We already talked about this a little bit, and another team that I was considering putting on the teams struggling to play to their expectations, the North Carolina Tar Heels lost 70-65 to the number 51 Iowa State Cyclones. And the guy that they had on in the interview after the game was the most conspicuous looking white boy that you've ever seen. Like, he looked like a dude you play at the
Caleb
24-hour fitness. Yes,
Caleb
exactly.
Grill, yeah.
So North Carolina Tar Heels, Amanda Baycott, what happened?
Villanova, they've struggled all season. Number 34.
This is not good.
Lost to number 123, Portland, 83-71. Villanova, we know what's happening. You don't have a defense.
Yeah.
But what happened?
I wish Villanova had a D in their name so that we could take it out, because that will never fail to make me laugh.
Yep.
Dude, seriously though, dropping from 19th to 56th in KenPom, that's bad.
Bad, really bad. I feel bad for Villanova. A little bit.
You mean bad for Villanova?
Yeah, bad. Let John go crazy.
Next. This is a success. Actually, this is tough, because these are two teams that I loved, one of which was really bad, and then one of which I loved. So this is kind of good because TCU gets an actual win after being very underwhelming. But we got number 17 Iowa, the Hawkeyes, losing to number 55 TCU, 79-66. Iowa, you somehow still won your side of the Big Ten. Actually, or did they? No, I don't think they make it because they lost to Nebraska. So you lose to Nebraska in football, and then you lose this game to TCU. Hawkeyes, what happened?
Yeah, TCU bumped up to 40 after this, and Iowa dropped to 23. So they're back in the good graces of KenPom. Like TCU is. Number 44 Seton Hall lost to number 217 Siena, 60-55. Pirates, what happened?
They got this game stolen from them is what happened.
Yeah, they really did.
Played like booty.
Yeah, they now dropped to number 57 cents. So 13 ranking drop. Not great. Not great. All right, it's time for Shark Tank upsets. This is where we both have to pitch an upset that we think is going to happen this week using stats to back it up. And the other person can either buy a pint, a keg, a mini keg, a pint, a case, a keg, a mini keg, and that's it. So that's a lot. That's a lot.
Went out of order there, so I lost it.
Yeah, definitely went out of order, but it's okay. I should have just pre-recorded these segments, but it's okay. It's all good. All right, what are you pitching? What are you pitching this week?
Originality.
What are you pitching for us this week?
So, got St. Mary's coming off a loss to Keon Brooks and Washington. But because they're coming off a loss, they're now hungry for revenge. And they will be getting that revenge over the Houston Cougars. We got Houston coming in. They're riding high. They're 6-0, second in KenPom. They just beat Oregon and a Kent State team that is weirdly kind of good and only held them to 49 points, which is gross. Anytime you're winning a game in the 40s, even if it's a win, it should still count as a loss on your resume. But we got Houston coming in. They're 256th in three-point percentage on KenPom, and they don't really shoot all that often either. So part of this is just to go. They very much rely on finishing at the rim, shooting two-point shots, which they do fairly well. But the reason that's a big kind of call out for this game is St. Mary's has the height advantage at every position by at least an inch. I know Marcus Sasser and Jarris Walker are really good, but they will have guys that have the height and the length on them. St. Mary's does a very good job they have the 7th best 2-point percentage defense in the country. Houston has also relied very heavily on offensive rebounds, and St. Mary's, with the height there, does a very good job of limiting those. And St. Mary's doesn't turn the ball over. Houston generates a ton of offense from steals. They're 11th in steal percentage, forced. But St. Mary's is 8th in steal percentage. They only give up steals on about less than 6% of their possessions, which is 9 percentage points lower than Houston. So all the things that Houston does well, St. Mary's kind of can counter on the offensive end to kind of cancel out a little bit of Houston's strength on the defensive end, and they should be able to limit their offense. This is a low-scoring game. I think that it is one that St. Mary's ends up pulling out.
So Houston being at home does not sway me in picking St. Mary's to pull the upset, but
this isn't at home either, though.
Correct.
It's at Fort Worth. So,
but it's in Texas, which is closer than closer than California. So yes, being that it will be more of a Houston home game than a St. Mary's home game, even though it's a neutral site, that doesn't help the pitch. However, defense travels. St. Mary's has a really solid defense. The only thing that in the red with them, when I look at matchups, I look at what's red and what's green, and you gotta love the offensive rebound percentage for St. Mary's. On defense is 6, so they don't allow a lot of offensive rebounds. They don't allow a lot of 2-point percentage shots, like a high shooting against them, which is what Houston really wants to do. Obviously, being 256 in the nation. So the only thing that they do not do great at is free throw percentage, but that just means that they're fouling the wrong free throw shooters,
and they don't foul often either.
Yeah. So they're fouling good free throw shooters, but at the same time, Houston's not they're not in the green in that either. So it's not like they're going to win with that either. So I like that. I am going to get a case on this. I still think that Houston ends up winning, but if it's a close game, I don't know. I feel like a case means that it could go either way, and I have a lot more confidence in St. Mary's, pitching this upset than I did before your pitch. So
I think the fact that both of these teams play slowly, especially on offense, is a huge thing too. Just because it limits possessions, which means that you can get 1 or 2 shots to go in, especially when St. Mary's shoots almost 38% from 3. That you get a couple of those threes to go in, and that makes a huge difference because this is probably going to be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, and the thing about they shoot 38% from 3, which is great. However, their point distribution, 3-pointers only makes up 32.5%. So it's not like they live and die by the 3, which is good because, shooting doesn't travel sometimes. So unlike defense, shooting is more inconsistent, especially on the road. So the fact that they don't rely on that helps them in this pitch. So good pitch. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thanks.
All right. So Oregon is taking on UCLA. And my reasoning is just trust me. It's a gut feeling. No, but here's the thing is Oregon crashes the offensive boards really well. They aren't a great 3-point shooting team, but they don't rely on it. So it's not like that really affects it. And I know Oregon lost 3 straight, but they lost 3 straight to 3 potential Sweet 16 / Elite 8 teams. So those are the games that you learn a lot in. And I feel like they might bring it against the struggling UCLA team. And then Kalel Ware is super fun to watch. So I think he could be a force of nature in this game. And Folly Dante is probably the best big man on the court in this matchup too. So you like that. There's another reasoning I had. Hold on, let me find it.
I was going to say, you only put Khalil Ware on this, but I was going to say that's in probably Dante erasure because both of them are awesome.
Oregon's offense, Oregon's offense is 29th in the nation. UCLA is 8th in the nation. However, the defense disparity is a little bit different. So it's like it doesn't statistically make sense as to why Oregon will beat UCLA, other than the fact that I think earlier in the week I have UCLA winning and Oregon beating Washington State. Yes. So UCLA just doesn't scare me at all. Like they just feel like they feel like a bigger fraud to me than Kansas. They play Stanford. I think Stanford's actually just because they have no defense. I think that's why UCLA will win. But this game, I like Oregon in for some reason. It just stuck out to me. I tried to find more reasons to pitch it other than this, but that is my pitch, and I'm sticking. Trust me, bro. Buy something on it.
I'm glad you picked a game that is actually going to be an upset this week.
Whatever. UCF would have beat Miami last week. It would have been an upset. Also, we need to talk about this. Here, we need to talk about this real quick before you give me your pitch.
What's up?
So let's say a Ken Palm 35 Rutgers is going to take on number 44 Miami, right? And we're going to talk about this game, so I don't want you to give me your prediction on it yet. We're going to talk about this in throwdown games. But they're going to take on number 44 Miami, but Miami is projected to win, according to Ken Palm, 69-67. So is it an upset because of Ken Palm saying it's going to happen, or is it an upset because of the rankings? Because what I've grown up to know as an upset is rankings and betting lines. And the betting line hasn't been released yet for this game. And typically when we record, it hasn't been released either.
All right, so this is a good example. I just think that this game is out. Like, it wouldn't be able to be picked. Because what Vegas has learned is that Ken Palm is good at what it does. And so Ken Palm projections for score are normally very, very close to betting line. So here, the rankings and the line would not match up.
No.
So I think you have to hit both criteria. I think ranking has to be lower, and
they have to be the betting line
would have to be. They would have to be the underdog. Like, they would be getting points on the line.
I forget what game it was that I pitched that you're like, this isn't an upset because Ken Palm also agrees with you. But the rankings were there. That's why I picked it for the rankings. So now we've settled it.
Well, inside baseball, this is me just giving you shit. Also, you can do whatever you want. You're a grown man. But I do enjoy giving you shit. But yeah, I think that normally I would default to the line. So if they are favored or not in Vegas, which is hard to do, but Ken Palm is a pretty good estimation for that.
Yeah.
Especially like when lines open, Ken Palm is good, and then you'll get movement from there.
Yeah.
But no, I always understood where you're coming from. I just like to rile you up.
I was thinking about it. I was taking the shower the other day. I was like, wait, I think the game that I pitched, like the rankings were there. So that's why I went with it. But yeah. All right. No, back to it. Oregon, UCLA. What do you think?
I'm in on this. So I think Oregon is one of those teams that they've dropped a little bit, but despite losing 4 games, I mean, they're 3-4 right now. Despite losing those games, they've only dropped 15 spots in Ken Palm. Their offense is really, really good. They have a couple of things that are really, really great about their team. And in this kind of a similar thing to my St. Mary's thought is like they just have the size advantage here at essentially every position.
That's correct.
Like Oregon's thrown out Will Richardson, who's been a stud this year, and he's 6'5", guarding Tiger Campbell, who's 5'11". Like, they're gonna have a significant height advantage there. It's hard to match up with essentially 2 7-footers in Ware and Dante at power forward and center position. Got 2 6'6" guys on the wings. Like, Oregon brings a ton of size to this game, and UCLA really likes to score from like not from 3, from 2. I was gonna say from 2, but that sounded weird. But like they like to score in the paint. Hemi Hawkins is a guy that likes to get to the basket and has kind of a bag there. So I really like the fact that they have essentially the height advantage at every single position, minus maybe Hemi Hawkins, depending on. I guess he's really the 4, so they would have the size advantage there. But this should be a really fun game matchup wise. But I do like Oregon to win this one. Is this game it's at Poly, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so they don't get this will be actually watchable because you don't have to watch a game on Oregon's floor. That's good too. Yeah, no, I'm in on this.
Cool.
I'll buy a pony keg.
Oh wow, okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's move on then. Now that we've got this settled. NBA fans, the NBA action is just getting started, and so are the incredible offers at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA pregame moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, total rebounds, total points scored, and more. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where I go to bet on the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code TBPN, make any $5 bet this week, and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, it's time for the beer review. So we're going to drink a couple beers and see what we like about it, what we dislike about it, and try and compare it to something basketball related if we can. So what are you drinking tonight, Dal?
I went to the liquor store and did it probably a little too close to when we were recording. So had to I restocked on 6-pack, so I have 6 beers. But I also wanted to get a cold beer, but they only really had singles in cold beers if I got a tall boy. So I got a tall boy that, not going to lie, I'm probably not going to drink all of because I have to drive to go get my parents. But this is, I think I've done a Founders beer on here a couple times. Founders is a brewery out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is their 4 Giants and the Haze of Destiny Imperial Hazy IPA. It is pretty heavy, actually. It's 8.4% ABV. It's 50 IBUs. It's definitely not the one I was looking at on Untappd because my stats are wrong there. Yeah, this is super off. Anyways, Imperial Hazy IPA. It says enjoy fresh. It's got a cool little can design too. Got some people there. Let's do a little tasty test. Ooh, that's like light for, I guess it's 50 IBU, so I should have expected it, but that's really good. Wow. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
So maybe you will finish it before you drive to the airport.
If I want to fall asleep while I drive, I will. No, this is really good though. It's yeah, I mean it definitely has like a hoppy like flavor, but is I don't know, like the citrusy, hazy aspect kind of mellows it out a little bit. If I'm going to compare it to a basketball team, I'm going to go out of college, I'm going to go NBA, and I'm going to compare it to the peak of all big man lineups that the Nuggets threw out in a summer league game or a preseason game where they started like Paul Millsap at the 1 and had all their 7-footers in there, which they robbed us of Bol playing next to Nikola Jokic, which I am just horrendously disappointed in. But this beer is called 4 Giants. They were throwing honestly 5 Giants out there, but that means that they were also throwing 4 Giants out there. So I'm going to go with the all-time Denver Nuggets massive lineup where they had all the size out there.
I like it. And you were reaching a little bit to try and get that Bowl Nuggets plug that you've been talking about for a couple days now. So I like that, but I like it nonetheless. I'm going with Spots. I think it's Spoetzl Brewery in Shiner, Texas, which I've done a Shiner beer before, but this is Shiner Holiday Cheer.
Ooh, haven't had this one.
It's a Bavarian dark wheat ale brewed with Texas peaches and roasted pecans. It's 5.4 ABV, 0 IBUs, and Untapped has a 3.72. This is the seasonal beer, obviously, and I think they do a different one each year. So this is 2022.
They do.
And it is.
I've
already had it. I've already had one today because I actually used it to make a barbecue sauce earlier. So I took a little sip, and I used it for a beer can chicken. Very tasty chicken, very tasty barbecue sauce on the chicken, all around. Like cooking with it, and I took a couple sips of it, and it was very tasty beer. So my comparison is because it's seasonal and because it really peaks in late November, early December, and won't be there in March, I'm going with Rick Barnes. So cheers.
As soon as you started that statement, I knew it was going to be a backhanded compliment.
Correct. But hey, you're peaking in December, man. You beat Kansas by like 15. So
good job.
There you go. Cheers. November.
Good job, buddy.
Cheers, Rick Barnes. All right, it's time for Throwdown Games. This is where we give our predictions on the upcoming games ahead of us. And let's talk about last week's results. So, like I said, Dowell took Feast Week, had 10 picks correct. I had 8. Steven had 6. So we're going to keep track and take next week. And maybe at the end of the season, we'll decide on some sort of bet or something for the winner. I don't know. We'll do a gift for the winner or something at the end of the season, whoever has the most weeks. But so far, since we're keeping track, you're 1 week. You got a 1 week lead on me, but I'm coming for it. Coming for the tie this week. So
too bad.
Yeah. So Tuesday, November 29th. So we're recording it is 10:52. You're gonna be listening to this on your way to work tomorrow or in the office tomorrow. But so Tuesday night, November 29th, number 7 Baylor takes on number 59 Marquette at 8:30 p.m. in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ken Palm is projecting a win for Baylor, 81-75, with a 70% confidence rate. What do you think, Dal?
Yeah, I got Baylor. They're too good. I just don't trust Baylor to, even going on the road. They're too good.
Yeah, I have Baylor as well. Too much depth. And Marquette sucks at offensive rebounds. So, yeah. The only thing that Baylor struggles defensively is defending a 3. That's literally the worst thing that Marquette does offensively. So, not great for pitching an upset. Take Baylor.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, at 9:30 p.m. in Ann Arbor, Michigan, number 5 Virginia takes on number 53 Michigan. Ken Palm has Michigan winning 67-62. I'm sorry, Virginia, not Michigan. I misspoke. So I am going to go with Virginia winning. Their defense is elite. Michigan gets hardly any offensive rebounds. They struggle from 3, and they shoot 66.9% from free throw. All those things, you need one of those things to win an upset, in my opinion, and especially on the road. Or no, this is at home. But either way, to pitch an upset, you need one of those things, one of those 3 to win an upset. They don't do either of them well, so I don't like it. And they don't force a lot of turnovers either. You need that too. If you struggle with all 3 of those things, you need to force a lot of turnovers. They're 305th in the nation in forced turnovers. So, what do you think?
Michigan has big men, and Virginia doesn't. So I'm going Michigan because Hunter Dickinson is going to be a stud in this game. And one thing that Virginia will, I'm sure, do is try and double him, force him to turn the ball over. He has done a very good job of avoiding turnovers this year. So I think the fact that they have only one person that is above 6'8" that plays any meaningful minutes for them, I think that Hunter Dickinson shows out, especially in a game that is going to be low scoring because it's a Virginia game. And I think
no,
they
wait,
match up
hold
really
on.
well.
Didn't Virginia hang 100 on somebody this year, though?
Yeah, but they're still 329th in average possession length. So
I'm just mostly messing with you. You say it's low scoring, but they scored 100 points in a game.
okay, bro,
I'm just messing with you.
They still are 362nd overall in average tempo, which
I misspoke. Their highest score was 89, but they put 86 up on Baylor.
they literally are the next to last team in terms
I know.
of average tempo.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah,
You don't like how I feel this now, do you?
exactly.
No. So this is going to be one that will decide who wins next week because these are two very different answers. Let's move on, though. Number 33, Penn State, takes on number 66, Clemson, at 7 p.m. in Clemson. Ken Palm's projecting a 68-67 victory for Penn State with a 50% confidence. What do you think?
Jalen Pickett is the best player in this game by a pretty decent margin, shooting 40% from three, is fifth in the country in assist rate. I think he is, because he's the best player of this game, I'm going Penn State here.
Yeah, so fun fact, Penn State is first in the nation in 3 points and point distribution with 49.5%. They shoot the three really well, too. However, they are terrible in offensive rebounding percentage, 17.9%, which is 357th in the nation. My rules on the road is if you can't shoot, like shooting can struggle and you're going to get, like if you aren't getting put boards or putbacks, it's going to be really tough. So in a hostile environment where Clemson has failed to play up to their expectations, I think Clemson is going to take an upset over Penn State this week. And you're going to like why I picked this, though. It'll be revealed later, but you're going to like why I picked this. So, but yeah, I think Clemson needs this win more. And shooting, it's hard to, if you're not making shots, like shooting doesn't travel like we talked about. So, it rarely travels. So they have to make a lot of shots. Clemson, I think, can pull out the upset this week. So,
also,
anyway.
Clemson, aren't PJ Hall, you idiots. He's your best player.
Correct. Yeah. What if this is the game that PJ Hall just gets like 40 minutes?
Well, he's not like that much.
Yeah. All right. Number 76, the Demon Deacons. Wake Forest takes on number 40, Wisconsin, at 9 p.m. in Madison, Wisconsin. 68-61. Wisconsin is supposed to win, according to Ken Palm, with a 73% confidence rate. I don't like it. I don't like it so much to the point that I picked Wake to win. Wake's offense is so well balanced, and statistically and defensively, there isn't a true weakness for Wake's defense. Wisconsin's offense is very disgusting. Like we mentioned earlier, they had a final score of 43-42. And then Klintman for Wake, I think, can definitely give Tyler Wall a hard time. And then my main point here is Appleby and Hildreth are better than the sum of Hepburn and Essingen. So what do you think?
Kyrie Appleby is a dog. And so this Wake Forest team still has not played a game where they have had their full roster. So Joey Tuka came back, transfer from Marist, was the MAC freshman of the year last year, had been hurt. They're still kind of getting him back into the fold, but he's super good at getting to the free throw line and super efficient finishing at the rim. He should be a great piece to add into the backcourt. And David Williamson also has missed 2 games and should be back for this game on Tuesday. So add him in. He's only shooting 33%, but is a knockdown shooter from the corner, which should be really aided by Cameron Hildreth and Jao Tuca's ability to drive, Tyree Happy as well. I love the backcourt here to beat a Wisconsin team. I also wanted to call out, so Damari Monsanto, who I said at the beginning of the year was going to shoot a bazillion and 4 threes, has already shot 40 threes on the year, is shooting 47.5%. Okay? But if you look that in the first 2 games of this year against Fairfield and Georgia, he started 0 for 4. I think he started 0 for 7 too, or 0 for 6 because he I think he missed his first 2 against Utah Valley and then made his last 2. So over the last 2 games, he's 6 for 9 and 4 for 8 from 3. So shooting well above 50%. He has been kind of fire flames, has moved into the starting role, has also really upped his defensive ability. So I like Wake's backcourt here.
Let's do it. Wake is taking it.
Let's go deep.
Wednesday, November 30th, the last day of the month. Number 19, Ohio State, is playing in Durham against number 20, Duke, at 7:15 p.m. KenPom's projecting a 70-67 victory for Duke with a 61% confidence rate. I am taking Ohio State in this one. I think they have a more balanced offense. I think Duke's offense has a lot of issues that need to be worked out. Ohio State doesn't force a lot of turnovers, but Duke's offense is so ineffective that literally they're the number 1 in the nation for offensive rebounding. That's how ineffective their offense is. So they get a lot of offensive rebounds because they can't score quality shots, can't get good looks at the rim, right? So that's why Kyle Filipowski is also, like, I think the first Duke freshman ever to record like 4 or 5 straight double-doubles, which is insane considering the amount of good big men that they've had. So all that said, I think Ohio State is the more experienced and balanced team here. I think they balance offensively and defensively. What do you think?
So only reason I will push back is Duke has one, including Derek Lively, who is like obviously still coming back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that are 6'6" or taller that will play in this game and get meaningful minutes, including 3 of their starters. There's only 2 people on the Ohio State roster that are above 6'6", and it's 6'8" Zedke and 6'11" Felix Okpara. Duke's size, regardless of how they've struggled this year, I think will end up being able to bother Ohio State and should let them get some easy baskets. So I'm going Duke in this one. Plus, they just have to be good. It's also in Durham, which I think helps a lot.
Does help a lot, correct. Which is the same reason why for this next game I'm pitching who I'm pitching. Number 21 UNC is taking on number 11 Indiana at 9:15 in Bloomington. 74-68 Indiana victory, according to KenPom, with a 70% confidence rate. I'm going Indiana here, and because it's a home game mainly. But let me hear your reasons why.
Bro, I'm never picking a game where Amanda Bacot is on the other team. I will continue to pick against him. They also are not shooting well from 3. This is UNC. Are not shooting well from 3. It's really one of the only main spots that is red on this KenPom matchup in terms of UNC offense versus Indiana defense. That's a big no-no. I think Jalen Hood-Schifino is probably the best guard in this game, and Trace Jackson Davis is the best big. So it's hard to combine. It's hard to combine that with with it being a home game and go against Indiana.
Yeah, and honestly, the way that UNC scares me, not just for this game, but just in general for them, like I'm scared for them, is if one of their starters gets in foul trouble, like which can definitely happen on the road, they rely so much on their starters. It would take like an incredible game from somebody else like to step up. And I just don't think they have somebody else that can step up like that against a top 10 team. So I think Indiana has more depth, and when it comes to UNC's defense, I just don't trust it. I mean, they literally went into 4 overtimes with Alabama. Like, that's just not great. You know what I mean? So, I don't trust UNC in this game on the road against a top 10 team, especially with how they're playing right now. So
you said Indiana has more depth. Indiana is 12th in terms of bench minutes, so they have a ton of depth.
Yeah.
UNC is Virginia levels of slow. That's them, but how often they use their bench. They are 362nd in terms of bench production in terms of minutes. So if one dude goes out, and Trace Jackson Davis does a really good job of getting to the line as well. So if one dude goes out for them, it's not good for UNC.
Not good at all. Not good at all. All right, number 36, Rutgers is taking on number 45, Miami, at 7:15 in Coral Gables, Florida. Ken Palm is projecting a 70-67 victory for Miami. What do you think?
I mean, I can't go against Miami here. The home court advantage, I think, is super helpful. Rutgers is a very good team, don't get me wrong, but I like Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack to be better than the backcourt for Rutgers. Also, Norshad Omier has been an absolute stud, and really am excited for that matchup with Cliff Omarui. Cliff Omarui is big, definitely big, has 4 inches on Omier, but Omier should have the speed on him, so that should be a good kind of like cat and mouse game where they go back and forth. I'm going Miami here.
Yeah, I'm going Miami as well. Rutgers just doesn't have a super effective offense. Miami is super streaky when it comes to offense, though. As streaky as they come. So it wouldn't surprise me if they just didn't show up in this game offensively. Also, I have to push the narrative that Miami's good now because they beat UCF. And if Rutgers wins, it's because no one on Miami's team can stop Cliff Omarui because he's so freaking tall. So, yeah. But I don't think Rutgers is going to win. I think Miami's taking this one. So we're going to move on.
Rutgers also, opponents are shooting 18% from 3 against them. That is so, that has to regress so hard to the mean that it's going to come back to bite them at some point because they cannot continue to get that lucky.
For sure. It's not like they're forcing them to take bad shots either. It's open looks that they're missing. People are missing against them. So, yeah. Number 30, Michigan State taking on number 78, Notre Dame, 9:15 p.m. in South Bend. Michigan State's projected to win, according to Ken Palm, 68-66 with a 57% confidence rate. So a little shaky, Ken Palm. Not too sure about it. I'm going Michigan State. I think Notre Dame's defense is just so bad, and MSU is just too deep.
168 is not good.
No, it's so bad.
It's really not good.
Not good at all. So I just can't say, hey, this upset's gonna happen with the defense that bad. So give me the Spartans.
You remember whenever we said that UNC is 362nd in terms of bench minutes? Yeah. I found the team that's 363rd, and it's Notre Dame because they only have 6 players on their roster listed on KenPom. They do not sub dudes, and Matty Sissoko is the perfect person to make sure that does not happen. Yeah. I really want to go against you here so that we can have some differentiation, but Michigan State, I think this, like you said, they're 168th on defense. Notre Dame is.
This is not the game to go against, man.
Michigan State's offense is the best of the 4 units in this game. I got to go Michigan State.
Yeah, this is not the game to go for it. So it's okay though, because Thursday, December 1st, number 10 Arizona is taking on number 64 Utah at 8:30 p.m. in Salt Lake City. Ken Palm's projecting an 74 win for Arizona with a 71% confidence rate. I had Arizona at first, but to go against the grain, to do what my gut is telling me to do, I'm going with the Utes, baby. Utah's defense is really good, 6th in the nation. Arizona's defense is not good. And if Utah comes out hot offensively, their defense bothers Arizona, don't be surprised when the Utes take the victory at home. That helps them a lot. And like we said, defense travels, and Arizona doesn't have the defense that we thought they might have. So give me the Utes.
This is a really funny matchup in large part because the Arizona offense versus Utah defense is incredibly green on green,
Yes.
meaning that it's like good on good until you get to the steal percentage. And Arizona apparently just like tries to give teams the ball, and Utah just does not want the ball at all. They are both in the 350s in terms of steal percentage. So it's going to be a really interesting battle to see there who is able to come away with the advantage there. Dude, the starting lineup for Arizona is just an absolute juggernaut.
It is.
Here.
No, they do have a lot of talent.
Dowell had kind of a coming out party too. He was incredible last week. So
yeah. No, they have a lot of talent. And originally, like I said, I had Arizona picked, but to go against so we're not picking the same people because we need to have some sort of tension there. I'm picking Utah on this one. And like I said, I was really close to already picking Utah. I just picked Arizona because of the talent. But you know what? Give me the Utes. I'm doing it.
Tabulis and Ballo versus Carlson in this game is going to be super fun.
Very fun, yes. Number 12, UCLA is going to Stanford, number 63. At 10:30 p.m., this is Eastern time, by the way. They would not be tipping off at 10:30 in California, but it's 71-66 victory for UCLA, according to KenPom, with the 67% confidence rate. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's weird that the Pac-12 was already playing conference games. I know they have an extended schedule, so it's not actually that surprising. Again, one thing, this is the reason I'm tempted to pick Stanford here is that, again, UCLA just is kind of a smaller team, and Stanford is a big team. They have a dude that's 7-1. Their two main contributors, Spencer Jones and Harrison Ingram quite possibly might be the best player on this, like in this game. But those two guys are both 6'7". They 6'5", 6'8", and 6'2" are their other starters. So they really do have the height to be able to bother UCLA. With that said, UCLA is better on offense than Stanford is on defense, and better on defense than Stanford is on offense. And Stanford offense just seems really, really – they're going to struggle to score. For being so tall, they only are shooting 53% from two, which I feel like that number needs to be better if they're going to take advantage of that. So I'll go UCLA here.
Yeah, I'm going to UCLA as well. It's just too hard to pick Stanford with the way their offense is. It's not effective. They turn the ball over a lot, and they don't shoot well from deep. It's not a recipe for an upset by any means. Plus, I need UCLA to fall asleep at the wheel here, get by the Stanford team, so that way they can go ahead and lose to Oregon on Sunday. So that is my agenda pushing for the week. And yeah. Number 15, Creighton takes on number 1 Texas at 7 p.m. in Austin, Texas. KenPom's projecting 73-65 victory for Texas at 77% confidence rate. And you know what? I'm going with the Longhorns because Moody Magic, that game against Gonzaga was electric, and they're not a great 3-point shooting team, but I think they had like 9 threes in that game. It was something ridiculous. So Moody Magic is very much a real thing, and we need to get a Moody center in Kentucky ASAP. Creighton's biggest weakness is their defense, particularly their 3-point defense, and they just don't force a lot of turnovers. Texas defense against Creighton's offense is going to be electric. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. You got a really good defense and a really good offense going head-to-head. I can't wait to watch it. What do you think?
I am going Creighton here. One, got the size, Tyree Hunter small, Marcus Carr small, even Serge Rice 6'4". That's pretty small for where they're going to roll out as a 3. Other than Ryan Nembhard, you have Kaluma, who's 6'7", Trey Alexander, who's 6'4", Baylor Scheiman, 6'7", Kelk Brenner's obviously 7-1, who's going to be matching up with, the tallest person that Texas throws out. Granted, their defense is very good, but their tallest players are Dylan Mitchell at 6'8" and Dylan Disu at 6'9". Disu if you're going to have a small lineup, like those two guys are pretty damn good to have as your small front court, but I think they're going to struggle with Kalkbrenner's size. Also, as good as Texas's defense is, Creighton's offense is just as good.
Yeah.
So it's not like that there's that much of a mismatch there. So even if that is kind of a wash, Creighton doesn't foul at all, and the Texas offense they don't draw a ton of fouls per se. They're like kind of middle of the pack in that, but they do score a bunch from two. So I think that as they try and put pressure on Creighton penetrating into the basket, I think Creighton does a pretty good job dealing with that. So I'll go Creighton.
Fair enough. Number 54, Arizona State is taking on number 58, Colorado in Boulder at 8:30 p.m. 71-68 win for Colorado, according to KenPom, with a 60% confidence rate. Both these teams have won really good games, and both these teams have lost really bad games. For that reason, I'm going Arizona State. I think defense travels. I think they have the better defense in this matchup. And I think they also rely on their depth. So if one of like Collins, Horn, or Cambridge gets hot, I like their chances more than Colorado, who kind of relies on like two main guys to score offensively. So what do you think?
Yeah, this is a strange game because it's two teams that are both better on defense than they are on offense. Colorado goes really, really fast on offense. Arizona State tries to slow it down on that end. And it's honestly kind of the same on the other end, where Arizona State's pace on offense is faster than Colorado's normal defensive possession. Let's see. I think Arizona State's defense definitely is the better option here. I'm going to single out the offensive rebounding, though, and have that be the reason why Colorado's offense is going to win here. They're going to miss a bunch of shots, but they're going to be able to take advantage of Arizona State's inability to offensive rebound, and they're going to win the game.
All right.
Also, just to be different.
Yeah. Friday, December 2nd, number 9 Gonzaga takes on number 7 Baylor, 8 p.m. in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. 83-82 victory for Baylor, according to KenPom, with the 51% confidence rate. So not super confident in that one is KenPom. What do you think?
I'm going Baylor here. This is two great offenses. Baylor has a better offense, and I think one of the main ways that Gonzaga wins is by being able to get Drew Timme in space and take advantage of people that can't guard in space. And Baylor does not have that issue. They're super athletic, should be able to double team him really effectively, which can get him turning the ball over, which is a thing that he does kind of struggle with at times. So I'm going to go Baylor.
Yeah, I'd hate to go and agree with you here, but Baylor has the better defense. And I like their chances. So that because of that, I like their chances of getting a stop when they need it. So give me Baylor in this one. I think they have all around the better shooting on this team as well. So yeah, give me the Bears. Number 22, nice. Illinois takes on number 24, Maryland at 9 p.m. in College Park, Maryland. 75-72 victory for Maryland, according to KenPom, with a 61% confidence rate. I'm going with Terps. They're at home against a streaky Illinois team that offensively, I just don't trust them yet, especially on the road. And Jameer Young has been playing some ball. That dude has been playing some ball. So I like the matchup here as much as I like Terrence Shannon Jr. and some of the Illinois players. They've grown on me. I don't like them enough to win this game. And I think TSJ is going to struggle a little bit. So yeah, give me the Terps.
I'm gonna go Illinois here, even though I was kind of low on them. And Maryland does have the benefit of having the anti-Danny Manning curse, where Danny Manning has now been their coach and left, and they have gotten infinitely better because of that. But Terrence Shannon Jr. is really good. I also really like the depth. It's weird that we were talking about the depth for Miami or for Illinois being a plus, but they got Dane Danger, Sincere Harris, and Matthew Meyer off the bench, plus Ty Rogers. And those guys, along with their starting five, provide a really, really nice 8.5, 9-man rotation. So I'm going to go Illinois here.
All right, and the last game for Friday, number 76 Wake Forest takes on number 66 Clemson at 7 p.m. in Clemson, South Carolina. 72-68 victory for Clemson according to KenPom with a 65% confidence rate. I am going Wake because Clemson sucks, Wake rules. But also, I went with Clemson earlier in the week, as well as going with Wake earlier in the week. But I went with Clemson earlier in the week because if they had lost another one, then I think they would have won this game. So that's why I picked Clemson to win earlier in the week. Because I think Wake is going to take this game hands down.
I agree. It's a revenge game from last year. I don't think this is actually true, but the big kind of hubbub around the Clemson game last year at the very end of the year was that Wake needed to go in and take care of business at Clemson to be able to secure a tournament bid. They did not do so, which, again, I doubt that that's actually why they didn't make the tournament. They would have needed to win a couple, if not all of the games in the ACC tournament to do so. But there is still that narrative. I think they'll be looking to kind of prove a point. Plus, again, this is a team that still hasn't played with all their players together. This will be the second game this week. Second game that they'll have had all their players, so they'll really start to kind of get into a groove there. So I expect Wake to continue to be on the rise just as they get those players integrated. And Clemson, I mean, they are a pretty small team, which Wake should be able to take advantage of. Wake is the deeper team. They shoot better from three. Shoot better from three relative to what the opponent gives up. Clemson actually shoots a little bit better from three, but I like Wake here. Awesome. Plus, if I ever choose not Wake in a game, it's like I'm got a gun to my head in the like off camera, and I have been kidnapped. So send help.
Correct. Saturday, December 3rd, number 11 Indiana takes on number 36 Rutgers at 4 p.m. in New Jersey. I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce where Rutgers plays in New Jersey. Yeah, well, I don't know that. I don't want to try it and embarrass myself. I embarrassed myself enough on this podcast. Number 69, or not number 69, 69-66 victory for the Hoosiers with a 59% confidence rate. I'm going with Indiana. They just have too much depth. They're too effective offensively. I don't trust Rutgers' team this year. Unfortunately, I projected them for them to lose twice this week, so it is what it is.
So I think I like Indiana's team better. With that said, Rutgers' home court advantage last year was huge.
They beat Purdue last year.
They're going to be serving up wins freaky fast there because it's the Jimmy John's arena or the Jersey Mike's arena. I mean, not freaky fast. Whatever Jersey Mike's thing is, shit, I'd mess it up. Regardless, I'm going to go with Rutgers.
Be a sub above. That's what they're.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be
a win above.
Yeah. No, it's just they don't go to their bench that often because their starters are a sub above.
Sub above, yeah.
There you go. No, the Rutgers on both sides has 3-point percentages that will, I think, definitely kind of even out and regress to the mean. They're not shooting well from three right now, but I believe they're a better shooting team than 31% as a team. So I'm going to go with Rutgers here. Also, just to be different.
Just to be different. There you go. Next game, number 29, West Virginia is traveling to Cincinnati, Ohio to take on number 32, Xavier at 6:30 p.m. It's a 75-73 victory for Xavier, according to KenPom. And this is the We Are Marshall movie matchup. Have you ever seen that movie?
I love it.
Both of those teams are in there. So, yeah, like just classic college feel to that movie, obviously. Matthew McConaughey, all right. West Virginia is going to take this one, though, in my opinion. I think Xavier allows too many offensive rebounds. They don't defend well from deep. West Virginia is a solid offense. Gave Purdue the best game of the Phil Knight Invitational, hands down. They only lost by 12 in the first round. I thought it was like, oh man, West Virginia just might not be that good because they lost by 12 to Purdue in the first round of this Phil Knight Invitational. No, it turns out that was the best, like the closest score for any Purdue game that week. So turns out West Virginia actually could be decent squad. They force a lot of turnovers. Xavier is terrible at protecting the ball. So I know it's a road upset here, but give me the Mountaineers.
Xavier's one of the best shooting teams in the country. And despite the fact that they turn the ball over a lot and West Virginia really preys on that, I am going to go Xavier because I think they are just a significantly more efficient team scoring basketball. And they are also tall, which allows them to kind of counteract the 2-point percentage that West Virginia relies on heavily. So I'm gonna go Xavier here. Musketeers.
I like it. Number 31, Oklahoma is traveling to Philadelphia to take on number 55, Villanova. 63-62 victory for Villanova, according to KenPom. This game's happening at noon on Saturday. What do you think, Dowell?
Oklahoma, and you're about to say it too, but Nova's defense is just horrendous.
It's just so bad. It's literally one of the worst in the nation. Who we talked about earlier, was it Notre Dame? Notre Dame's was really bad.
Yes.
I think Villanova is like rivaling how bad their defense is. Let me check. I'm going to check. You keep talking about this though.
It's definitely not good. And honestly, Oklahoma's defense is pretty solid. They don't rebound the ball very well, but Villanova doesn't really either.
No, Villanova's isn't as nearly as bad as Notre Dame.
110. It's 110 in the country.
110, yeah. But still really bad for a team that had really high expectations. And for us, I mean, we had them, number one in the Big East. So not great, Bob. Not great at all. And, yeah, Oklahoma's defense is good enough to get multiple stops in a row and give their offense some more scoring opportunities. So Oklahoma's defense is just good enough to lean on for their offense to lean on for a stop here or there, where Nova's is not.
The way to beat Oklahoma is to score from like two. So they do a good job defending three, and they do a good job of not fouling. Those are the two things that Villanova has struggled with, and they don't take advantage of scoring from either the mid-range or at the rim, which just seems like an awful situation, even on offense for them too. So I'm going Oklahoma.
All right, let's move on to Sunday, December 4th. Number 21 UNC travels to Blacksburg, Virginia, to take on Virginia Tech. KenPom is saying 70-69 Virginia Tech. I'm going to go with UNC. Excuse me. UNC is going to be pissed after they lose a very close game to Indiana. And you're going to just beat up on Virginia Tech, I think. Virginia Tech's defense needs work. They don't force a lot of turnovers. And to pitch an upset, like I said, you have to shoot threes, offensive rebound, or force turnovers. You got to have one of those. They don't really do that well. So give me the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I mean, I like that Grant Basile is someone that Virginia Tech uses so often because he's very much their best player. It being in Blacksburg definitely does help a little bit, but I just don't see North Carolina like dropping. Well, I mean, I picked Indiana to beat them too, so this would be their fourth straight loss. Like, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
So I'll go UNC as well here.
All right, number 38, St. John's, traveling to Ames, Iowa to take on number 42, Iowa State Cyclones at 3 p.m. Ken Palm's projecting a 74-71 victory for Iowa State. I'm going with Iowa State as well. It's at home for them. They force a lot of turnovers. They win the experience and length matchup, which I know you like so much. So, yes, give me the Cyclones.
I do. One thing that I don't love is that they foul a ton.
Yeah.
For every field goal attempt that Iowa State gives up, they're giving up almost a free throw attempt per field goal attempt. So it's almost a 1-to-1 ratio there. Iowa State does a good job of turning the ball over, like turning opponents over. St. John's is pretty solid at that, especially Posh Alexander and Andre Curbelo, as we know, are two of my favorite players. They do actually kind of turn the ball over a decent amount. David Jones, though, is the guy that they use has the highest usage rate, and he does not turn the ball over.
No, he doesn't.
That's a good indication there. I'm gonna go Red Storm again. I got narratives to push too, so I gotta go Red Storm here.
Yep. All right, number 4, Kentucky, traveling to London, England to take on number 53, Michigan at 1 p.m. Kentucky's projected to win 77-67 according to Ken Palm. What do you think, Dowell?
Sorry, I'm getting an update that apparently my parents aren't flying out anyway, so now I have to go stay at their house again. This will be a really fun game. Oscar Tshiebwe, Hunter Dickinson, two of the better big men in the country this year. London it's going to be a weird game. Kentucky, I think, is the far better team here. Every single big game, I think they will be kind of tired of getting the Kentucky can't win a big game. They can't shoot. Every single big game that we've played so far, they haven't just shot poorly. They've shot way, way past what even shooting poorly would be. I do not think that continues. So I think Kentucky wins pretty easily here.
Yeah, I saw the tweet that Jack Pilgrim put out about Cal saying that they went they had a practice that all they did was practice the zone defense, which seems like hyperbole for John Calipari. Shocker. So if they did practice it, it wasn't because they're playing Bellarmine tomorrow night. Because that would be a terrible decision to roll out the zone against a team that shoots really well from deep. And it's because they're going to play Michigan, and Michigan sucks at shooting the three. And they don't offensive rebound very well. And they don't shoot free throws very well. And they struggle to turn teams over. So Kentucky's actually 33rd in the nation on turnover percentage, which is shocking. It feels like, obviously, I'm a Kentucky fan, so I watch it with a harsher scope than I would other teams. They don't actually turn the ball over that much, surprisingly. And they don't get blocked a lot. So that's a good thing for Kentucky's matchup here. So for that reason, I'm also going Kentucky. It'd be hard to go pick Michigan. We have to beat one of the Michigan schools. Let's beat the Wolverines since we couldn't beat the Spartans. Give me that.
Ooh, that's a good plan. I like that.
Yeah. So, all right, and that wraps up Throwdown Games.
Can we have John Calipari talk in a British accent through all of his press conferences in London? That would be hilarious.
That would be really funny. Either that or just a random play, somebody that's really like Cason Wallace just breaks out a British accent. That would be hilarious. Give me that 100%.
Yes, we need it. We need it.
All right, Dal. So it's time for the last call here, and I've come to the conclusion that you are a height supremacist. You ever watch The League? The show The League?
I've seen episodes, but I haven't watched it religiously.
They fantastic show. Go watch the whole season. You'll get hooked for sure. But one of the things that they say is one of the characters is a height supremacist, and they pick their fantasy football lineup based on how tall the players are, which is fantastic. But yeah, you definitely use the height way too much in some of these upsets because we can't act like one of the best point guards in UK history wasn't 5'9". we can't just sit here and say that.
Bro, that's
or
an O-line.
Kentucky's current point guard is 5'9", 5'10". So, yeah, you are a height supremacist. But no, I really do appreciate you, and I'm going to give you a shout out, Dowell, because you got me this awesome Christmas present. If you can see it from the camera,
Yeah,
State.
I meant to have you open it at Christmas, and I even put my name on the shipping thing, so like when it showed up to your house, you would know that it was like from me. And I was like, don't open the thing that is shipped, supposed to be shipped to me, and then I forgot. So whatever.
All good. I get to wear it throughout the season, and I will definitely wear it in Orlando. And I also wanted to give a shout out to, let's see, P1 UK fan 1980 for interacting with us on Twitter and hopefully retweeting this freaking episode when we post it. So shout out to UK fan 1980. Go follow him. Good follow. Not a bad follow. If he's a bad follow, I wouldn't follow him. And then Matt Sack wants me to shout out to Scott Satterfield for coaching at U of L. So yeah, L's down. Also, I went to the UCF USF game. Was incredibly fun throwing down the horns down like the whole time. Just doing this in the stands all the time. Incredibly fun. And also the fact that they even got down in the second half to USF was embarrassing. But USF is a good location for an up and coming OC or DC that wants to be a head coach somewhere. So somebody go apply.
Did you get a 15-yard penalty every time you did it?
No. But we bought $20 tickets, and because typically we go to the friend that's a USF student, and she just gets us the student tickets. But we didn't this time. We tailgated with them, but we went in the UCF, like we just went as fans or whatever, and they were $20 tickets. So after the fees, it was like $60, but they were club seats, and we didn't know it, and it was awesome, dude. Like padded cushion, like this thick of padding, and like the beer came in a collectible cup. Like fantastic experience. So glad I bought tickets instead of going to the student section. Highly recommend getting club seats. So yeah. What's your last call?
My last call. All right. So if you have followed me on Twitter, you know that I probably enjoy semantics. You also listen to this podcast, and I call out Connor for random little nitpicky things in terms of semantics. But one thing that I will urge people to do is be conscious of what point you're trying to make and making that point without it needing to be interpreted. So like the main example here, and this comes from being a fan of both Kentucky and Wake, who have had less than successful seasons compared to what preseason expectations were. The word unacceptable has been thrown about a bunch with fans. The sentiment is fully correct. It is 7-5 is not good enough. That is definitely a way to say it. But as a fan who your only choice is to accept what has happened because that's what you are, like, you have no control over it as a fan. So you, by definition, have to accept whatever the outcome is. Saying something is unacceptable implies that changes need to be made that you have no power in making. If a coach wants to come out and say it's unacceptable the way we've been playing, that makes more sense. So again, it's nitpicky, but just make sure that you're trying to be conscious of the word choice that you use, because it really does matter. Another example, Hugh Freeze just got hired by Auburn. That's disgusting on multiple levels. But some ESPN guy was like, oh, there have been multiple missteps that he has made. Whether he meant it or not, categorizing what Hugh Freeze has done in his past as missteps is a horrendous, even technically, if it's true, that does not get across the amount of horrendous things that Hugh Freeze has done and how awful that hire is from a moral perspective.
Yeah.
So just be conscious of that. And I don't want to say hold people accountable. You should hold people accountable that do stuff like say that what Hugh Freeze has done has been a couple missteps. But
trying to approach it, if you're going to do that, trying to approach that conversation in a positive way where you are helping fans grow rather than calling people out, kind of thing. But that's my last call.
No, I'm with you on that. I hate when people say something is unacceptable. If you say as a fan that, oh, this is unacceptable, that means that you're ready to move on to a different team, in my opinion.
Right.
Because that's your only choice. That's the only thing that you can't accept is you accept what's happening or you move on and become a fan of another team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's stupid to say something is unacceptable because we say that and then nothing ever changes. So
there we go.
Yep. I'm with you. So, all right. You know what's not unacceptable? You know, actually, it is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to not follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Beers and Buckets Pod. And it's unacceptable to not subscribe to our YouTube channel. And it's unacceptable to not like, rate, and leave a review and share this episode. And it's also unacceptable to not check out the other shows on the Basketball Podcast Network. So you should definitely go do that. So
do all of those things.
Yeah, do all those things. It's unacceptable. You got to change it. Okay, you hear me? You got to change it. But yeah, check out all the shows that the Basketball Podcast Network has. And if you enjoyed this episode, share it, please. That'd be great. And yeah, this has been a super long but fun episode. And I can't wait to hear it in its entirety. And this has been the bottom line because Connor said so. You guys have a fantastic week.
Peace.